Welcome to Spirits and Screams.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Spirits and Screams. Tonight we're going to take a look at William Friedkin's The Guardian from 1990. So let's just jump right in and have a look. The Guardian from 1990. Optimistic about their future, new parents Kate and Phil hire the pleasant and lovely young Camilla to live with them and care for their new baby. Though she seems like an answer to their prayers, she proves to be more than she appears. A diabolical plot involving their child is uncovered. Directed by William Friedkin, starring Jenny Seagrove, Dwier and Carey Lowell. So recently rewatching this movie, it reminded me of the first time I saw it. I rented it on VHS from my local really small convenience store that was nearby my home. I was barely in my 20s when I saw it. And I used to watch movies a lot that way back then because I worked in a hotel gift shop in the evenings, and so during the day I would watch movies, and I got to see it. Speaking of that time period in my life, when I worked at that gift shop in the hotel, I had a really amazing moment. I think I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again in case you haven't heard. I got to meet Johnny Cash at the gift shop. I was so shy, and it was just this little tiny shop that had local art. And you'd have to go from the front desk through it to get to the restaurant. Anyway, I was there. He walked up all in black. I was so nervous. I remember him reaching out his hand to shake my hand. And he said, "Hi, I'm Johnny Cash." And all I could say was, "I know." Oh, but he was like the sweetest man I think I've ever met, celebrity-wise. And it was such a moment. Oh my God, I feel so blessed that I got to meet him, so it was really cool. And we just he leaned on the counter and we just kind of hung out there for a while either his wife or daughter at the time was, shopping for little gifts and stuff like that. But oh man, what a crazy moment. And this movie totally reminds me of that time. And this one was a really fun watch for me back then. I remember going and looking at the video, seeing the picture on the front and going, yeah, that looks pretty cool. Reading the description and going, okay, yeah, I'm going to watch this one today. Didn't care because it was cheap to rent movies back then. And watched it. Didn't know William Friedkin even because I hadn't watched The Exorcist back then because I was too scared to see it. And so I just randomly went in blindly watching this thing. And it was good. And it didn't do very well. It was I think it was like straight to video or something thereabouts. It was just like not great. Like it didn't do well in the theater. And I liked it. Like it was one of those watches that you kind of remember as being a really nice afternoon watching a movie. And I was really excited to revisit it. And while it's, a little bit hokey, it's not totally, top tier kind of movie material. Might not be for everyone. It still was really fun even to rewatch it. Very nostalgic, that time period in the early 90s. They just capture all of that, and really, really fun. Originally, they hired Sam Raimi to direct this one, but it was just before he was doing the movie Darkman, so he had to leave and couldn't do it. So then they replaced him with William Friedkin. They wanted him on board to do this film. And they made some changes to it because it was supposed to be like a tongue-in-cheek thriller type of story, but they wanted to make some changes to it, make it more supernatural. So the story was supposed to be like a child-stealing demon from Jewish mythology called Lilith. And when Friedkin heard that, he said, no, no way am I doing that. he wanted to do something that was more like a psychological thriller sort of angle to it. And Universal Studios said, no, we want the supernatural angle because of the success of his film, The Exorcist. They wanted to carry on with that. But I could kind of see him not wanting to do that because I think he didn't want anything to touch that movie ever. And he knew that if he did something like that, it would not go over that well, and he didn't want to be a part of it. So they squabbled over all of that. They ended up talking a bit more and coming up with this idea of a tree that was sort of haunted, that would possess or connect with a woman, and she would, possess the tree, and that would be something to do with children and, snatching babies kind of thing. And Friedkin at first was like, don't want to do it. But then he kind of started warming up to the idea of it, and he decided that he would go along with that story. And that's what we get here, is a story about this tree that connects with this woman, and she's to go out and snatch up baby souls before they hit 4 weeks, or just as they hit 4 weeks old, and kind of feed them to the tree to give it power and strength and keep going on. And, she's supernaturally connected to it as well. And I think that story is kind of neat, and it was neat that they tackled it. And I love that he did it. It definitely, from the opening credits and the score, it definitely has his vibes attached to it. I really thought it was a fun watch, even though it didn't do that great. And like I said, not for everybody. There will be spoilers in this review. It's a pretty old movie, but if you haven't seen it, go watch it, come back. Like the usual, we can talk about it in the comment section below. But I expect a bunch of you probably have seen it. Maybe not though, because it's a bit obscure. Not something that people talk about very much, but if you haven't seen it, yeah, click off, come back, and we'll chat. So this movie totally makes me think of the movie The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, which I love. I love that movie. That was the first movie I ever ordered on VHS back in the day from Columbia House of all things. And it was the first one I got, and I remember getting it in the mail and opening it up. It was so exciting. And I watched it probably like all day and night, probably like, I don't know how many times, 8 times that day, because I just enjoyed it so much, and it still resonates with me now. I still really like that one. I probably should review that one. I don't really know, it's not really supernatural horror, but it's a fun one for sure. But this movie gives me that vibe, the story and everything. This movie was apparently inspired by the book The Nanny, and The Hand That Rocks the Cradle happened a few years after this movie. So obviously it would have been inspired by this. But I don't even know, I couldn't find anything online that said that it was, or that that movie's inspired by The Nanny or any of that kind of thing. But bit for bit, all the scenes, all the parts, I can connect the dots to The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. So that's kind of fun. I don't mind that. I thought it was kind of neat. And also I read that they did a TV version of this one as well, but it has an alternate ending that's kind of cut off. Friedkin hated that, the way they did that. The DVD version, the Blu-ray, the one that you'll watch now, is a version that has an ending where the tree actually gets cut down and there's tons of blood and gore and stuff. I guess they cut that part with the TV version. So he didn't like it, and he wanted his name removed from the credits. So he used a pseudonym in the credits because he used to do stuff like that back then instead. So anyway, the movie did okay. Like, I think it made close to 20 million or something like that, which isn't bad. I think that's what it was, something like that. I'd have to verify that, but I think it did okay. It just wasn't a blockbuster hit, that's all. And I guess if you're comparing it to The Exorcist, of course, it's not gonna come close to being the same. Which makes me think of how even Friedkin didn't surpass or get close to the success of The Exorcist. So all these new movies coming up that people compare to The Exorcist and how bad they are and how they're just not good, well, he couldn't even do it. So either he couldn't do it or he didn't do it because he didn't want to ruin the success of The Exorcist. But anyway, I just thought that's an interesting point. The movie is very atmospheric, like I said. The beginning shot, we see this owl owls creep me out. Ever since I watched the movie The Fourth Kind, they really creep me out. They're very strange. I've seen some real life ones here on the island, and they're quite amazing. They're quite amazing animals, actually, but they're very spooky. Very, very spooky. How their eyes are so large and just, anyway, scary. So that shot freaked me out a little bit and drew me right into the movie. Then we head to the house where there's this family, and they hired this nanny named Diana. And I believe it's Molly and Ellen are the parents, and they have a kid and a baby. And they're going away for the weekend somewhere, and the nanny's to look after the kid in the house. And the kids in the house. And they drive away, and the mom remembers she forgot her glasses or something, so she has to go back. She goes back, she sees the kid there, and the baby's missing, and she totally loses it, freaks out. And then it's just this baby's missing kind of thing. And it cuts to 3 months later, a new house, a new family kind of deal. And the idea is that the nanny is hired and kind of goes from place to place to place, snatching these children and basically feeding their souls to the tree to keep it alive, the one that she's connected to. And I also forgot to say the little boy is reading a story to the baby at the very beginning, and it's about a creepy tree kind of thing, and we get that sort of taste of the darkness that's about to come in the movie. And I thought that was really cool. The intro, the beginning was really neat how they put that together. I could really feel that Friedkin was a part of this at the start. And the idea of it is pretty scary. I'm a mom. The idea of kids being snatched and going missing, and the supernatural element introduced to it, really creepy and really different. I really enjoyed this one for that. And the nanny is a hamadryad. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably not. I probably mangled it. Let me know in the comments below if you know. But what she is an entity that is sort of connected to a tree, and she has to go around snatching up babies when they're 4 weeks old and sort of feeding their souls to the tree to keep it going, to keep them both going. And so the nanny is a perfect cover for her to be able to do this. But that's all we kind of know. We get that inkling from this book that the kid's reading, and the kid's book falls to the ground, and it's a pop-up book, and the pop-up opens as it hits the ground to a big gnarly tree. So it's really cool. That was really clever. I really enjoyed that. Such a neat image. Really gave a really neat atmosphere to it right off the bat. And the book is Hansel and Gretel, I forgot to say, so it's very fitting. So when Diana snatches the first baby, we see her running through the forest with the baby, and then she's chanting to the tree, and then all of a sudden we see this bark baby face kind of poking through the tree as though it's part of the tree. Such a cool concept for a horror movie. And it then kind of gives you Evil Dead vibes, and so many other movies, but it's really well done, I feel. Like I said, maybe not for everyone, and maybe because the studio interfered so much with everything that was happening in different directors. I mean, they were even still figuring out what the story and what the concept was going to be about as they started filming the thing. So things changed as it kind of went along. The lead actress in an interview said that she was even like, what? Like, what are we doing? I'm going to be playing this entity connected to a tree? What the heck? But in the big picture, I still feel it was good. It was still a good story to work with, and really kind of interesting and fun. Kind of a concept that is halfway between Hand That Rocks the Cradle as a thriller, psychological thriller, and something that's supernatural at the same time. And myself personally, I really enjoyed that. Okay, and then we flash ahead 3 months to a new family. Because the nanny has to keep going, right, and get more babies. A new family, husband and wife, Phil and Kate, and she's expecting a baby. And they moved recently to LA because he's got a new job. He's in advertising. She is an interior designer, I believe, but now she's pregnant, so she's home. So we get that whole scene. So it's very cool, very 90s. They're wearing trench coats. We get to go into the office. There's lots of art. The mousse in the hair, big earrings, the Walkman, all those fun things. from back then, which really flashed me back, which is really cool. I always forget about that decade because I always remember the 70s and the 80s, but the 90s I forget sometimes. But that was a cool decade too, you know. There were some fun movies that came out around then as well. Anyway, this really flashes me back there. It's really cool, especially for what they were involved in, because that's really my kind of thing, like art and, you know, graphic design and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was really, really fun. But we get this new family, and so she's pregnant. They're going to need to hire a nanny because he's going to be working quite a bit. And they look to an agency, but things get kind of mixed up and confused. They go to a place called the Guardian Angel agency to look for a nanny, but they interview a couple of different women. Some don't turn out that great. They've got this one young girl. They really love her, but she mysteriously has a really bad bicycle accident and gets injured, so she can't do the job. So they end up going with this Diana girl. But now she's got a different name. Her name's Camilla. Now, she's very pretty, but she's very weird. A bit weird and out there. But she really loves kids, and she's really good with the baby, so they decide they're going to take her in, and she's kind of a live-in nanny. And the mom is actually in the process of like painting a mural in the kid's room, getting prepared for the baby, and it's like a big gnarly tree, so that's kind of fitting as well. Adds to the ambiance of the film. Their house is so amazing. They really lucked out when they moved here for this job. Just amazing. I always wanted to live in a house like that. I thought I would, but you know what? Life doesn't go the way that you plan sometimes, and the cost of living is crazy, and so I live in an apartment. But I have the ocean around me, so I guess that's a good trade-off. But this house is just gorgeous. It really, the way it's decorated too, just really flashes you back to that time period. So it's really fun, and they're like a really loving, fun, happy couple, you know, and you know things are going to go really bad. And then eventually their baby's born. It's a boy. They name him Jake. And so the nanny's taking care of him all the time. But weird, creepy stuff starts to kind of come up right off the bat. And there's like weird sexual tension between the husband and this woman. It's a lot like The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. A lot. So he's completely in love with his wife, but there's just weird stuff going on that, you know, is kind of tempting him. And it's really uncomfortable and uneasy, but she is really beautiful, so you can understand why that would happen. But yeah, you know, stuff's going on that's kind of strange. And then really quickly we get into this scene where she's taking the baby out into some field, and she's laying on the grass with him, and then picks him up to go, and then these creepy idiot guys come up, and they're giving her a hard time because they want to attack her. And she's got a baby too, so wow, it's just like kind of a scary situation, and adds a lot of tension to the whole horror aspect of this movie. And but yeah, don't mess with her, because we learn really quickly that she's really got some kind of powers or something. But they end up like cutting her stomach, and she runs away with the baby and ends up coming back home, and she's okay. And the husband eventually sees that she's got this injury, and she said she's getting it taken care of, but just crazy and very like scary all at the same time. But thankfully the baby was okay. Not that the baby's going to be okay because it's in the hands of something weird, but it's safe from that experience in any case. And to add to the atmosphere, they have little tiny earthquakes that keep happening all the time, and they're kind of getting used to living in LA because they're not originally from there, and so it just adds a little bit more tension to the whole thing. And you know, the nanny, she is always with the baby kind of thing, and there's a moment where the crib is empty and the dad freaks out a little bit, and then he walks into the bathroom and sees her in the bathtub with the baby. She's naked, and he's like, oh, sorry, and she's like, it's okay, or like sing-songy kind of way. So really odd, really strange. Like I said, really reminded me of Hand That Rocks the Cradle a lot. And the nanny has given the baby these little kind of woodlands animals, stuffies, like an owl, and they're just really, really cute, but it's kind of creepy because we know that there's something going on with this tree in the forest, and it's connected to that. But they're the protectors for the baby, she says. So that's kind of weird. And anyhow, the couple end up having a party down the road, and they invite friends. And of course, one of their friends, a guy, he's completely smitten with Camilla because she's beautiful, and he wants to pursue her. So the wife, you know, she encourages it. She's like, yeah, go after her and go for it, you know. And so there's one evening where Camilla gets all dressed up as though she's going out for the evening somewhere. And it's like, okay. So she goes out and she ends up going to the forest where the tree is and having a date with the tree. It's so creepy and so weird. She kind of becomes one with the tree, with the bark and everything. Really strange. And so the friend that they have from the party, he ends up running out to chase after her because his friend, the wife, she was like, go after her, like, go for it, don't give up so easily. She did go out, but go chase after her, she's not far away. So he goes out and he ends up seeing all this weird stuff going on with the tree. And he's just like, does not know what to make of it. And the tree and her are aware that he's seen this, and all these weird creatures like wolves and the owl and stuff like that are guarding this place. But he takes off as fast as he can. He's like jumping fences, he's bleeding and everything, rushes back home, shuts all the doors, locks himself in. What's cool about these houses too is there's lots of windows all around the houses, so you don't really feel safe and protected from the four walls because you can see right outside. And immediately these wolves surround his house. So it's so scary. So many movies were like that back then. And I think I still have nightmares to this day from stuff like that, that something's chasing you and you have to be able to face your fear and escape through the window to get past them to go to safety. Yeah, that really freaks me out. And they have a lot of that in this movie. And I just know with that scene in the forest with her, with the tree and the date and the whole thing, I just know that my horror movie friend Nye would say, what the fuck? She'd do her funny giggle with that one. So Nye, you got to check this one out if you haven't seen it yet. And very sadly, the wolves crash through the house and they actually break in and they kill him. And it's a really gory kill. Practical effects are really good. Really, really fun. There's not a ton of stuff like that. Like, it's more my kind of movie. It's more supernatural. There's a story to it as opposed to slasher and lots of blood, guts, and gore like Terrifier. It's not like that, but it's still really, really well done. And I felt really bad for him because he was so sweet and seemed like he was a really nice guy and didn't really expect that he was going to get killed, and everything kind of happened so quickly. So it was pretty sad, but really, really well done. So their baby starts to not do so well, and the dad, Phil, he like starts investigating stuff, and he meets the original family that this happened to. Oh, the family before him this happened to. And they're warning him of this woman, that this woman steals babies and their kids are missing, and that it's happened many times before. And they check references and she doesn't really check out. She just doesn't exist, kind of thing. But he's still not convinced and he doesn't really listen to it. But he's kind of, you know, all these weird messages are coming through on the answering machine, which was cool because that was another cool way of, you know, conveying a story. Details through the answering machine messages. They would do that back in the day. I love that. So yeah, all this tension is building, all this stuff is happening, and they're kind of oblivious. And because of that, things kind of start to go really downhill for them. The baby's sick. They can't figure it out, kind of slipping into a coma or something that's unexplained. The doctors don't really know what's going on. They're doing all these tests and stuff like that. There's a scene in the hospital that's very creepy where the baby's there hooked up to monitors and stuff, and the nanny slips in kind of through the window, and you see her, you know how they'd have like barriers between the beds where they'd have like curtain up that's white, and she was kind of there and floating through all of the curtains to get to the baby and trying to snatch the baby again, and the dad's not going to let it happen, but she's basically saying the baby has to come with me to survive, and I need the baby now before their blood's pure or something like that. You know, at the 4-week mark kind of thing. She has to give the baby, the soul, to the tree in order for the whole process to happen and to work out. really scary when you think about it. Ultimately, the nanny's fired, and she tries to argue with the dad that the baby will have eternal life with me if he stays with me, and he's like, yeah, I don't think so, you wingnut, like, get lost. So that causes a lot of tension because you know she's not going to give up. And the wolves are there. They go to the house to try to attack the parents. The parents end up having to, the dad grabs the baby, runs in one direction, and I guess their house is kind of close by this forest as well. And then the mom goes to the car to get the car so that they can hook up, distract her, and get away. But I remember thinking, watching it, like, why are they doing that? They're splitting up. Something bad's going to happen. I just know it's going to happen. And it kind of does. And as the dad's running away with the baby, the nanny is kind of like chasing him and levitating through the forest in the darkness, and it's really stormy. It's really cool. That's really creepy, I think. Very atmospheric. Really enjoy that. In the chase, they end up at the tree, and the dad can see all the baby's faces in the tree, and it's very creepy and disturbing. And the mom saves the day. She drives up and she literally runs over the nanny and kills her. And it's such a horrifying moment because everything's connected to her and the tree. It doesn't end there. Of course not. No, it doesn't. They end up at the police station. The nanny disappears. The police check things out, but they say all that it is these wood carvings in the tree. Like, it's not supernatural or anything. Nothing pans out. So they think they're kind of crazy, you know, and let them go. But the nanny's not dead. So the dad knows she's coming back. He grabs a chainsaw. He goes towards the tree to cut it down. And he starts cutting into it, and blood's gushing, like the tree's bleeding. Blood's gushing from the tree. And the babies are crying. You can hear the crying, and he's cutting it down. As he's doing that, the nanny comes back, and her limbs are kind of like ripping off, and she's bleeding as he's cutting through the tree to show the connection between the two. Really cool. It's like an Evil Dead Ash moment, you know? Crazed with the chainsaw, fighting for his family. So awesome, so epic, really great effects. Apparently they made this really big tree and put these blood packets inside of it so that it could actually look like it was bleeding. I thought that was really clever. Of course, Friedkin would do something like that. Really well done. I want to watch it again actually to see that, because while I was watching it the second time around, I was taking notes. I'd like to just watch it again for fun, just to take it all in and watch the effects happen. But the family ends up being safe because he kills the tree, and he kills the nanny in doing so. And so they're free of all of this trouble. They have their kid back. But we see the owl in the background. And so there's that inkling of whether there's more of these things out there, whether it's actually gone, you know, dead and gone forever, and they're actually safe. Really, really cool movie. I really liked it. Like I said, very atmospheric, very like offbeat, not something that would be like a big blockbuster hit, but something that was really fun, and I really enjoyed it. It was really different, and the you know, talent of Friedkin, what he put into it, you can really see, and it's really fun and different, you know. And like I said, I really enjoyed it with knowing nothing about it back in the day, watching it randomly. And now that I know what I know, it's a pretty cool movie. I think it's very much a cult classic now. It's gained a lot more popularity and momentum since then. And I really think check it out if you haven't, because I think you'll get a kick out of it if you like that kind of stuff. For my review, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. A spiritual sensation, a devilishly good time. And you guys, I really recommend that you check it out. I hope you enjoyed this video. Also, if you did, don't forget to give me a like, because it helps me out a lot. And subscribe to the channel, but only if you want to. And I really want to hear your thoughts about this movie, if you've seen it. I really liked it, and I really want to talk about it. I'm sure there's lots of stuff connected to it that I've missed. Please fill me in on that. Yeah, you guys, this was so much fun. I really liked watching this one. I've got more coming. And also a big thank you to my patrons for supporting me, because that's really cool too. And if you want to join that, you can. There's extra content and bookmarks and stickers and stuff. The link is in the description box below. You don't have to, but if you did, it really helps me out too. You guys, I hope that you are enjoying November. I can't believe it's already November. I can't. But this is one of the most fun times of the year for me. I love spooky season. Halloween, of course, spooky season carries on for all of us in the horror community. And I love checking out some of the more, supernatural, Christmassy style horror movies at this time too. And if you've got any you want me to check out, then please drop them in the comments below and I'll add them to the list. Have a great rest of your evening and we will see you again on the next one. Bye guys.